I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, friends. We are back again for our last episode of the night. This is the Never Have I Ever After show here on AfterBuzz TV. We are covering episodes 7 and 8 of this absolutely amazing show that I can always talk about. I'm your host, Brian Santos, and I'm going to say it again. This episode 8 is my favorite episode in the entire season. So I am ready to jump in. You guys know why I love this. I am ready to talk about it, but I will be nowhere without my amazing co-host. First, she is giving us that Indian perspective. Indians living in the US. She is the queen of Bollywood. We love her. We stand her. It is Shiksha Matani. Hey girl, how are you?
Hi, how are you guys? I'm so
amazing.
excited. Yes, let's talk this show. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Love it. We also have the lover of K-pop. She does K-pop News Weekly. She does the American Idol After Show, the Masked Singer After Show. She is just amazing, and we love her. She is Trina Dong. Hello, girl. Welcome back.
Hi. I'm happy to be back talking about the show. It is the greatest thing to happen to me all quarantine.
I agree. I 1000% agree. This was absolutely what we needed in these crazy times.
Mhm.
So funny, so relatable, so great, and I can't wait to get into it. So there was like two main like roller coasters throughout these two episodes, which was the roller coaster of the trio, Fab, Davey, and Eleanor, and then this roller coaster between Davey and Paxton. So much transpired in these two episodes, and I want to break down all of that. So let's kind of just go through them kind of consecutively. So let's do it. So let's first talk about Jonah. So Jonah comes into the scene, comes back with his fantasy by Mariah Carey. He is joining the trio yet again, and he low-key replaces Davey because Davey has been such a bad friend in these last couple episodes. You know, we saw that big blowout she had in episode 5, and then we went to Ben's episode in episode 6. So Shiksha, tell me your thoughts. What were you thinking when Davey got replaced by Jonah, and how shook she was?
She deserved it.
Yes.
Is that mean to say?
No, not at all.
She's not been the best friend. They wanted to tell, I think this is where they wanted to tell her these big things that were happening in their lives, and she blew them off because of her boy troubles, because she was so consumed with boys.
Yes.
That it's like, girl, who are you to complain when you're just, I don't know, like, she didn't talk to them about what happened at Model UN. She didn't give them a chance to talk to her about what was going on in their life. So, like, yeah, she kind of deserved it a little bit.
I agree. Trina, what are your thoughts?
I do think she deserved it. I did think that her friends were being a little harsh with the way they were presenting it and just kind of shoving it in her face. I thought, not that she didn't deserve it, but I think that they're a little better than that. So I don't know. It kind of goes both ways. I think that she definitely heard them, like she gets it, but I still think it's mean.
Yeah, one of the really, really, I think that stuck out with me in that exchange was when she said she was going to make it up to Fab, and then Fab was like, "No, it's okay. Jonah was there for me," and I was like, "Oh, girl, like that one, like that just rubbed me the wrong way." So that was a lot of drama.
It was mean. Yeah,
it was so mean. And speaking of drama, we have Eleanor's mother, Joyce. She's back. She is ready to shake things up. So at the end of episode 5, we just see very, very little of her. We see that this revelation that she is back in LA. But with these 2 episodes, we see all of the drama transpire. So she, for lack of a better term, she's toxic. She has bad parenting. She does all these things to these girls. She basically almost outs Fab. She also outs Davey to her mother, which was so crazy. I want to get your take, Shisha, on that encounter because you mentioned that a little bit. But Trina, tell me your thoughts on Joyce and her parenting style.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, of course, she's her parent, but I don't know that we can call her that because she's not doing any parenting. And so her being back doesn't mean that she automatically gets to have a parent card and is going to do all of the right things. I think that Eleanor definitely knows what's coming, but she's trying. Eventually, she gives in. And so, but we all know, you know, how it's going to go because the type of people that come in always go back out, right? So
definitely. Shiksha, what were your thoughts when it was revealed that Davey was having sex, quote unquote?
I don't think the mom acted strongly enough, to be honest, just because it was kind of a huge deal. Even the fact that it was cleared up that no, she wasn't having sex. And if you notice, she freaked out the minute her mom heard the news.
Mhm.
Because even if it is subconsciously, like, she is still Indian. And I think that even subconsciously, she knows how bad that is. But then even the fact that it was a rumor and she lied about it is just as bad. It's not good. And I don't know. I think the mom, see, this is where I'm torn about the mom, because there are moments where she's super stern, and then there are other moments where she's less, and I don't understand what the mom is, the character's doing, really. Like, I just didn't really know what to expect from her, and I wasn't too pleased with how it was, like, what the result was.
Yeah, I agree that it was kind of just like really, really quick. You know, like you said, it's such a big thing, such a big moment. Like she should have like flew off the handle. But
Mm.
maybe what I would say, like playing devil's advocate, maybe she was going back to the whole like keeping face kind of thing. Like she didn't want to fly off the handle in the middle of everybody, so she kind of wanted to like reel it in and maybe deal with it later, if that makes sense. What do you guys think?
But did they really deal with it later?
No,
No.
exactly.
You
So
know, like, okay, I
Yeah.
get that. I understand, like, we will talk when we get home.
mhm.
You know, let's pushing it off till then. But then even when they got home, the mom still yelled at her and lectured her, but it wasn't enough, I didn't think.
Yeah.
Not for the crime. I don't
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
she does the same thing the entire time that we were talking about before. I don't know if you guys talked about it last episode, but the one prior to that, when it's just like her words are stronger than what actually happens. So she's saying a lot of things, but doesn't actually do anything, because I think she's caught between what her daughter's going through versus real life versus grieving, you know.
Mhm.
Not that it gives her any reason to not just follow through with what she's saying, but I think she's just confused on how to parent.
Well, I also think that just think about everything that Davey's been doing up until here. She's been drinking. She's been caught
Yeah.
sneaking out to parties. She's been caught lying about her sex life. All of these are huge offenses as a 15-year-old Indian girl. Okay, so for the consequences to not be as grave, or the lecture to not be as stern, didn't vibe with me. I couldn't relate to that, because I know that had it been me, it would have been a million times, a billion times worse. You know, so it was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Interesting, definitely. Another thing I want to weigh in on is Fab. So after that whole drama with Joyce and Eleanor and Davey, Fab is kind of left with the aftermath, because this was basically the moment. You know, we finally see the moment with her and her mom, and I love how it. I can't even speak to how I love this so much. I love this scene. It was so real. It was like so close to my own coming out story. I talked to this with Shishka a little bit last episode. Was that with my mom kind of asking, are you gay? You know, taking that kind of pressure off. But with this, I love just how understanding the mom was, especially the line that really stuck with me was when she was like, have you been trying to tell me this? And she's like, yeah. She's like, that must have been really hard for you.
Yeah.
Because like that one just
Oh
like
my
took
God.
me all the way out.
Oh,
'Cause I was like,
good.
whoa, dude, like that, seriously, like to just comprehend or understand the struggle, like from an external perspective, like it's so great to see. And the fact that, again, the realness when she was just like, just give me a moment. Like, I'm not upset or anything, but I'm just processing all that. I'm about to cry. But all
Yeah.
that, it's just like so real. And I loved how they portrayed this scene so much. And it just worked out in the end. Like, tell me your guys' thoughts, because I loved it. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, I think that she proved that she was the mom that we hoped she was going to be. And I said it a couple episodes, or at the last show that I was on, that she was just trying to do what she knew how to do, but not necessarily trying to peg anyone under a certain category of anything, just trying to relate to her. And so I think she probably, of course, she felt a little bit taken back, but I think now she's probably happy that she at least knows maybe how to talk to her kid.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
while it's like shocking, she was like, well, at least you can, you know, take French, and wasn't a lie, or whatever that whole bit was about
Yeah.
changing like the language she was taking. So I thought that was very cool, because I mean, you say it all the time, Brian, on watching other things, but not every coming out story is a tragedy. And I think it's great that we are able to highlight another type of realistic story.
Yes.
Or they, not we. I wish it was we. But
Shiksa, how are you?
I thought this was one of the best scenes in the show because it was almost unexpected because we've seen the mom and you almost don't know what to expect from her because even though we realized beforehand that she was a good mom and just didn't know how to talk to her daughter or relate to her, it could have gone the complete opposite way too, right? Where she didn't react quite the way that she did. But I thought the mom handled it so beautifully, immediately understanding not just accepting her daughter for who she is, but understanding what her daughter has been going through, immediately connecting the dots to saying, oh, is that what you guys were trying to tell? Was that what you were trying to tell us at the family meeting? Like she immediately picked up on that. And then the fact that she reversed it and said, oh, great, then you can switch back to AP French and we can go on our trip. Like,
exactly.
It was so matter of fact, like, that's what I was worried about. Okay, you're gay, whatever. Like, I just want you to be in French, you know? It was like, that's awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. I love this too. I'm so happy that we all agree because that was, again, one of my favorite moments from the scene. I agree with you, Shiksa, so much that it was so great to see. And speaking of more positivity, the end of this episode is only positive for one person, which is Davey, because Paxton calls her but she's struggling with these two decisions. Joyce, the terrible parent that she is, goes for Broadway. She says thank you next to her daughter yet again, and leaves Eleanor in the dust. So Eleanor is going through it. She is shook, and Fab is right there with her to help her. But Paxton, being the man that he is, texts Davey saying, hey, I need your help. You owe me. And obviously Davey is like, ah!
I
He
know.
literally does not know what to do. So before we get to like what we thought about it, I want to know your honest opinions. Trina, what would you have done?
I would have told my friends that he texted me to say there's an emergency and either drag them with if they're like, oh, let's go do that, or if they're like, but this is much worse, then I would stay there and tell him to call someone else. She's just like too many secrets.
Seriously. Shiksa, how about you?
I would have gone, I like to think that I would go to my friends. I would probably ignore the text and then say, oh, I just saw this. And
literally me.
He said emergency though.
I know, but like she could have already been with Eleanor and not have seen her phone. It's very possible. So if you text back within an hour, what's the big deal? You know? So
I'm screaming because I thought you meant to say, I didn't see this to Eleanor.
No, not to no.
I was like, oh yeah, totally me. Yeah, that's what I would have done.
No, but
no, Bryant.
No. She should have gone with her friends. They just forgave her. You know, you're on thin water. You're like you're walking a fine line with your friends. So to ditch them again for the boy, you know.
No, seriously. But I agree with Trina that communication would have been the easiest way. Like, yes, they would have been pissed again, but at least give them a heads up. Like, he says he has this emergency, like, you know. And I think what she's dealing with, God, I don't know how to describe it without sounding like a bitch, but I think what she's dealing with is like, it's timely, if that makes sense. Like, oh God.
her best friend is having a meltdown because her mother, I mean, not like it's not a boy troubles, it's her mom.
Yes.
That is ditched her. And Davey should have understood that immediately because she just lost her dad. So what the hell was she thinking? So true. Right? She was just thinking as a 15-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. But in reality, she should have gone to her friends because her friends really needed her and communicated to Paxton maybe that she needed a couple hours or something.
Yeah, but then
here's my thing though. That's what I was trying to get across. I feel like with men, there's like a window. So I feel like she was like in that window. She was like, God, like I feel like Fab and Eleanor will forgive me, but this is my one shot with Paxton. If I don't take it, there's gonna be no more shots. So that's what I was thinking.
yeah, there's something to say for that she did go to Paxton's. Something about that entire day probably did, influence things later.
Yes. So yeah, let's actually just get into that because that's perfect way. That's how we get into episode 8 because we're left with a cliffhanger on episode 7 of, oh my gosh, where did she go? And it turns out that she went to Paxton's house. So girl, I'm right there with you.
Oh, jeez.
So obviously she thinks that something is going to go down. He's going to profess his love for her. What, I don't even know what she was thinking in her head when she went there. But Shikshka, tell me your thoughts. Do you agree? Probably not, but
Who
do
doesn't?
you agree with her ultimate decision?
Look, I understand why she made the choice that she did, but I also think she was so wrong, especially because of everything she had just gone through with her friends. It wasn't her first offense, it was her second, third offense, I mean, yeah, no, I did not agree at all with I understand it was a hard choice, but like, no.
Trina, how about you?
I also disagreed because I really do think if she would have just told her friends that someone had said the word emergency to her, that maybe, she could have somehow handled both situations and said, I'll be there in an hour, and then be like, Paxton,
How?
you have an hour.
How? When you have Fab coming to her at the locker saying she needs us now. She is bawling and having a huge crisis in the room now.
I get it, but what I'm saying is he said the word emergency, and that's the word emergency is scary. She looked panicked. She didn't think it was just something. She looked like it was something bad.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I'm torn.
I think it was wrong that she went. I'm just saying she should have told the girls what was happening on her phone so that they could solve it together. And if they said, you're the worst friend in the world, you stay here, then you throw your phone in the toilet and you stay there.
True. Communication again. I mean, maybe I'm just thinking with something else on my head. But
I'm somewhere in the middle. I mean, we're wrong. Brian and I are generally wrong when it comes to decisions about going about if it's a thirst trap decision. We're usually wrong.
God.
Okay.
We have bad judgment. I'm screaming. All right, let's jump into something else before I feel like I could talk about the subject forever. But let's talk about Ben because it's his birthday, and again, we see more absent parenting. God, if my parents told me they were going on a trip that they chose to, like they totally could not do on my birthday, oh my God, it would be over for them. Shiksha, tell me your thoughts. What would you think?
I was pissed for Ben because they were almost asking him permission to skip his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted him to say, oh, it's okay, Mom and Dad. I don't care that you missed my birthday. Go have fun. I don't matter. Obviously he wasn't going to say any of that, but that's kind of what they were aiming for, I felt. That's what they wanted to hear from him. And the fact that he gave him $1,000, like, it was just so unsettling. This poor Ben. Poor Ben.
Yeah, that was bad.
It was so bad.
It was. And Trina, his parents, like Shikishka, have asked him to throw a party, gave him $1,000 and said, throw this party and we will see what happens. And he's hesitant at first until Davey sparks something in him. So Trina, did you see something there? Because Shishka and I talked about this a little bit last episode that there was like a little bit of spark, but what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, they toy with it a lot at the, like, throughout it. Well, when they stopped fighting so much at the very beginning before they, but yeah, there's always a little something, but I never thought it was from Davey's side. I always thought it was coming from Ben, that he had a little something lingering because of like his situation. He doesn't like his situation very much, whether that be his girl or his parents. And she's a consistent thing in his life, if we think about it. Probably the most consistent thing that's always around. So for him to want her makes total sense to me. But then also for him to try to show up Paxton because he thinks that he's cooler than Paxton. So why is she paying more attention to another guy for once? He's jealous. So that's why this whole party happened in the first place, to make her jealous.
And it goes wild, and we will get to the falling out of all of that.
Does it ever?
Right. So when this party happens, Davey asks her mom to go to the party, and obviously Nilani says no, because we already see all the drama that Davey has been part of, sneaking out, again, the sex rumor, all this crazy stuff. But she's able to go because she blackmails Kamala when she catches Kamala with Steve in the room. And I loved it. I lost it at the same time. Trina, your thoughts?
I loved the difference between their reaction. So Kamala thought that Davey was going to be like, you're disgusting, you're a disgrace to the family. And I do not know why she thought that, because it's obvious that Davey is on a different side of these traditions than she is.
Yes.
And so I thought that was interesting, that and it's so clear that she just automatically goes into shame about these things. And it's really sad, because she automatically goes into, I'm disappointing you, what have you. But really, they're on the exact same page. If Davey could be making out with Paxton in her bed, she would be.
Wouldn't we all? Another person we see again besides Steve is our friendly neighborhood therapist, Dr. Ryan. We love her. Stan her. Tell me your thoughts on this exchange, because she is obviously going through it, Davey, as usual, and comes to Dr. Ryan for this different advice. So what are your thoughts?
I'm trying to think of which therapy visit this is.
I know, me too. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, there's so many like little droplets.
It's not the one where she's about to go on a date, right?
No, because that's when she asked for the red panty.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the one where she's asking for real deal advice.
I think so.
I mean, honestly, I think everything that happens in this therapy office goes haywire. So
it does, always.
When she goes there to talk about something specific, she always thinks that one answer means something else.
Yes.
And then Dr. Ryan kind of thinks she got through to her, but is kind of very scared that she didn't. And so I think these therapy sessions, I just wish they were, and I know why they are what they are, because it leads to the next things, and it's funny, and but it's anything but grieving and therapy, that's for sure.
Definitely. I 100% agree. We lost Shishka for a minute, but we have her back now. How are you, girl?
Hey, girl.
All right. So all of that happened, and let's just jump into the party, because this is where the meat of the world, like everything just goes down at the party. So I want to start with Ben and Davey. So Ben tries to kiss Davey twice. He goes in, kisses her, she freaks out, then he does it again. He does it again, thinking it's going to be a better, like, that's the definition of insanity, thinking that doing the same thing is going to get a better result, because she obviously was even more freaked out and creeped out. So she could tell me your thoughts. Were you as shook as I was when Ben kissed Davey twice?
Oh my God, best scene ever. So funny. Like, not only did he try to kiss her once, but twice. I mean, dude, he was definitely feeling the moment. I was all for it. I kind of really wanted it to happen, but the way that it ended, with her like being, what you doing, dude? And the fact that she said, you have a girlfriend, this is wrong, was yeah, I loved it. That was the beginnings of a beautiful romance.
That's an interesting point you bring up. Yes, because I totally forgot about the girlfriend up until this point. Like I forgot that they're still together. Like there was never a breakup scene to our understanding of it falling apart. So I guess we're gonna see what happens there. But after that drama happens, it leads right into even more drama with apparently the balls and the punch. That whole thing happened. And Davey runs to try and save Fab from drinking that ball punch, and ends up spilling the punch all over her and ruins her whole suit. First of all, I screamed at that one line, and that was hilarious. But Trina, tell me your thoughts on that whole situation, how it transpired, and how Fab just blew up.
Yeah, I feel really bad that it had to happen publicly like that, because that Fab wouldn't have wanted it to happen that way either. But everybody was at a breaking point that what was anyone supposed to do? You were just going to let her rush up and spill things on you when she's acting wild. And so I felt bad about the whole thing, but I also felt bad for Davey too when she didn't know how to react. So then she looks like a jerk, and then she flies into a pool. Like the whole
Sharpay
thing was
Evans
a
from
bad
HSM2.
look. Yeah. Oh, and then she got outed.
Yes. That was
So
even more layers.
exactly. It just really sucked for everyone watching. I think the only one that it didn't really suck for was Paxton, because I think it just made him like Davey more. I think there was something about that made, so he was the only one that got anything positive out of it, I think.
Yes. I'm gonna go into that because I obviously have thoughts in like 2 minutes. But Shifter, tell me your thoughts on Eve and Fab, because I also think that Fab kind of did get something positive out of it because she got this little exchange with Eve. So what did you think about that?
Well, I think that the way that she was outed to the school was wrong. I was grateful for her to have the opportunity to now take that next step, because it was clear that she was ready to take that next step.
Yes.
And she was ready, but I think she didn't necessarily know how to maneuver the situation. And this kind of forced her into dealing with what she wanted to deal with.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, speaking of dealing with things, I was dealing with a lot of emotions at that last 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of the episode, because everything just went like da, 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 da. So we see Paxton come in, be her knight in shining armor. Obviously, I was living for that. He takes her home and then he kisses her. And like it was just like literally, I was not ready mentally, physically, or emotionally for that moment. Trina, tell me your thoughts at the kiss.
I thought it was going to be like cuter than it was. I felt like only because you'd think that she would have this like insanely like amazing reaction to it, because like she's been just thirsting after this dude in a very public, thinking about him nonstop kind of way. And then she was like a little shocked and a little smiley, but nothing like how we expect her to be. So I thought it was a little lackluster, because something about it felt like she thought that she had deserved it versus her actually caring about it and liking it. And I didn't like that.
Interesting. Shikta, tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so during this episode, I was still a little bit more Team Paxton than I was Team Ben. I was getting there with Ben, but still more Paxton than Ben for this episode, guys. So, I was really excited about the kiss, that he finally did it. And I did think it was interesting, like what you were saying, Gina, that she didn't focus, all her thoughts weren't on the kiss. It was more on her dad. And that kind of goes back to all the issues she's been dealing with, and how the therapist said that, you're consuming yourself with this boy to get away from your grief. And this kind of just proved it, because now that she got the one thing she really wanted, she still couldn't stop thinking about her dad. And it was heartbreaking. It really was, to see this moment. But I think they handled a teenage girl losing a loved parent very well. And the fact that she was consuming herself with this boy and then bringing it back to the dad was really interesting, and just it kind of highlighted this message they were trying to show the entire time.
Sure.
That it wasn't all about Paxton, really. It was about her distracting herself.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. I love the ending, love the kiss, loved how we see the dad again. And that was it. That was our recap for those last 2 episodes, because it was like this, literally a roller coaster, like Incredicoaster at Disneyland, like literally. It was a lot of emotions and I loved it. So I want to get into an amazing fun segment we have. We're going to do it again with Trina for the first time, and we're so excited to do it. We are doing such an amazing special segment called Never Have I Ever on Never Have I Ever After Show. So it's perfect. So let us go with Trina first. Trina, give us a Never Have I Ever.
Well, we all have to hold up 3 fingers.
Yes, and we're all going to hold 3 fingers and play the game along with each other. And if you're in the chat, or if you're on YouTube watching us, play with us, put up your fingers and tell us your Never Have I Evers as well.
Never have I ever made a giant speech in front of a ton of people and then flailed into a pool.
Nope, I can't say I have. I
No,
can't say
not. Okay, I'll go. Never have I ever been able to kiss my high school crush. Oh, Trina Dog. I'm here for
Oh.
High
it.
school? Yeah. ooh,
high school
Yes.
crush. No.
Got a lot out of that one.
My turn. Never have I ever thrown a drink at a friend.
I think I have.
Oh.
I'll leave this up. Sorry, that was I went to college in Wisconsin.
Oh snap!
Mine
Should
was
I
on
have lied
accident.
this whole time?
No, I love it. I'm living for it. I think mine was on accident. I think I accidentally like, oh my god, like that's amazing.
Okay, never have I ever, was this the right episode? Yes. Never have I ever hosted a sleepover.
What?
Oh, I have.
I have. I've
Suckers.
hosted many. I've hosted many.
Let's see. Never have I ever. What is a good one?
I
God,
have
what'll
one
happen
while
is
you're
that-
thinking.
Yes, do it, do it.
Never have I ever gone and like talked to one of my friends' moms and like got in the middle of their family business.
No.
No way.
Mom or dad, their parent. And got
You don't-
I
into
don't
their
think
family
so. I hope
business.
not. No, I don't think I.
Yeah,
don't think
I was gonna
have.
say if I did, I'm glad
Yeah.
I blacked it out.
Gosh, okay, one more for me. I'm trying to think. Never have I ever. I can't think of one.
Oh no. Trina, do you have another one?
Trina, do you have another one?
Never have I ever ran out on my therapist.
Oh, I've
No.
never been to a therapist.
I've never been to therapist. I don't want to go to one.
I was gonna say, I bet Brian puts his finger down on this one.
Okay, so me and Trina technically lost, so we have to drink that big Kirkland bottle of vodka I have in my house.
I win. Let us know, guys, in the comments where you're at with this Never Have I Ever.
We love
Please.
that. I love that so much. And that was our special segment. I love it. We're definitely going to do it again for our finale, which we will let you guys know when it is. We are working on that. And yeah, we are so excited to get to the last 2 episodes of this show because it's been an amazing ride. And I can't wait to talk about that with you. But before we get there, Trina, where can people find you on social media?
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hey Trina Dong.
Amazing. Shiksha, how about you?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at I Am Bolly Girl, where I post all kinds of Bollywood news and I dance to all kinds of Bollywood songs and dances.
Love.
Amazing. We love. And I am Brian Santos. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Brian Santos. Again, this has been the Never Have I Ever After show. We love this show so much, and we can't wait to see you back here for the finale in a few days. We will see you then. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.